One of the biggest fears that entrepreneurs have is what happens when somebody else comes up with my great idea before I do. And I can't tell you how many entrepreneurs I've talked to that have had that fear. And usually my answer to them is very simple. I tell them, you know what you should be doing? And they look at me and go, what? You know, this is the horrible news that we've just gotten. I say, it's very simple. You should be smiling. And of course, the entrepreneur on the other side of the table, you're asking, well, why should I be smiling? And the answer is really simple. Because being second or being third or being fourth or maybe even being 10th or 20th is actually a huge advantage. And let me explain why. When you're late to market, the big advantage you have and that you can take advantage of as an entrepreneur is now you can see where your competitors are and you can see where your competitors aren't. So now you have something to reference your idea to. And then you can ask yourself the very simple question I like asking myself as well. How am I going to be 10 to 100 times better than the competition? Or alternatively, here's the other question. How are you going to be so unique in what you're doing that you're really going to stand out? Because those are the real questions that you need to be asking yourself. And when you're late, now you can look at that and you can reference that competitor out there, which you couldn't do before. So if you're still not convinced about the advantage of being late, in market after market, it's been proven true that being late is many times an advantage. So let me give you an example of that. Let's take the search engine world. Was Google the first search engine out there? Hardly. They weren't even close. There were many search engines before Google. Let me just name a few that came along in just 1 year before Google came along. And that's in the early 1990s. In 1994, there was InfoSeek. There was AltaVista. There was Yahoo. There was Lycos. And there were many before it and there were many after it. Google came along and Google won because they had a better idea that was 100x better than everything else out there. So they used and they learned from their competitors and they came up with a better way to do search. Let's take the personal computer business. Was Apple the first personal computer out there? Hardly. Was Microsoft the first operating system that was ever out there and what they did? Hardly. If you look at the phone business, same thing. Look at the iPhone. How many phones came along before the iPhone came along? I mean, my God. And yet who dominates the profits of the phone business today? Apple. You can be late and you can take advantage of it. And that's what you should do. That's the whole point, is learn from your competitors. Ask yourself the tough question about how are you going to be so significantly better that the market can't help but buy your product, because that's what you're going to need to do. You're going to need to be way above the noise to win. That's always true for every startup that's ever come along, because the world's gotten along quite well without you. And now you have to show how you're going to win. So again, ask yourself the simple question, how are you going to be 10 to 100x better than your competition? I hope this helps. I'm Brett at brettjfox.com. Have a great, great day. Thanks. Bye.